Greetings and welcome to Garage Grub. It's where a Florida man cooks, I think, some really good food in his garage. So pull up that plastic chair, maybe pop a cold one if you'd like, and enjoy the show. I think this episode is a really good one. You know, some friends and family have asked me, why do you cook in the garage? I mean, you got a house, you have a nice kitchen, seems to be adequate. Well, it really happened over a period of time because anyone who cooks in the home knows that if you cook it in the kitchen, the oven, the stove, it can heat up the kitchen, and then if it's an open house, heat up the house. And then or sometimes you get a grease or oil on that glass stovetop, which is hard to clean, hard to keep really nice. Just like your phone, it's always grimy. And or maybe some piece of cheese falls on the burner in the oven and creates that horrific stench which permeates the whole house. So I'll just say that over time I learned that it's just easier in life and less stressful to figure out how to cook somewhere else. And the garage to me was the obvious spot. So I figured out after a while, and it was pretty challenging, if I got the right machines and set it up right, I could cook about anything pretty good in the garage. And so that's what the show's all about. It's kind of a minimalist show. I guess you could say it's a show for maybe tiny houses, because my garage is kind of like a tiny house. So in any event, that's what it's all about. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll keep the episodes coming as fast as I can perfect new dishes with my machines in the garage. So anyway, I'm going to use my Cosori Air Fryer, and that's just a brand. There's probably 1,000 brands now. Most of them are the same. It's basically a very small oven where you put a basket inside the oven, and it has a high-speed fan. And all that does is create a miniature convection oven. And so when it says it's at 400 degrees, I don't think so. I think it's at like 800, because stuff cooks really, really fast. So we're going to use for this recipe my Cosori Air Fryer. It's sitting right here. I don't need to show you a picture. You can go online. They all look the same. It's a little oven. It's got a basket. Well, here. It's got a basket. See that? And this basket comes out of the tray. This is the basket. This is the tray. And the tray is to catch any liquids that would come from the cooking food in the basket. Anyway, you slide it in the little oven, and that's how it works. It's very simple. The bottom line is things cook really fast, and it's really good, because the theory is, and again, this is the advertising and marketing, they claim that because it cooks so fast, food doesn't really dry out, so it retains the moisture. If in fact you have moisture in the food, like let's say you had meat, you want to retain the moisture so it doesn't get dry and tough. They say the air fryer is perfect for that because it cooks so fast. I don't know. We'll see. All I know is what I'm making in this thing is really good stuff, and I haven't had a failure yet. So let's start with this recipe. It's only got a few items, and my number one rule in cooking out here in my garage, which is where I cook, and more on that later, is it can't have more than 5 or 6 ingredients. If it does, I'm not going to do it. It's too complicated. It's too easy then to forget an ingredient, get a little bit too much mustard, not enough paprika, too much garlic, or you forget the pepper. Anyway, it's too complicated, and then it's not very good. So I keep it really simple. This wonderful recipe, which we love when we eat it frequently, is 5 items, if you consider salt and pepper an item. Bell peppers, green, yellow, red, orange, whatever. Kielbasa, onion, olive oil. That's it. It's really 4 ingredients. You basically take your onion, slice it, skin it of course. Take your peppers, I think they call it coring them. You remove the stem, of course, the seeds, get rid of those. Slice them up. A pepper should be about 8 slices. You don't want them too big, you don't want them too thin. And you'll see a picture in a minute. And then your kielbasa, slice up your kielbasa in any way you want. I like it in lengths. I like to score it. And then when it roasts, it opens up. It looks very beautiful, which is, you know, part of eating good food is the visual appeal. It's not just the flavor, it's the visual appeal. My mother used to make stuff, some meals. She was actually a very good cook, but she used to make some meals, and occasionally she'd, you know, like she'd make eggs, and I like them. I don't like the yolks broken. If I have a hard fried egg, I don't want it broken. And then she'd inevitably break it. And then she'd serve it to me, and I'd say, well, you broke the yolk. This is horrible, I don't want it. She'd say, it's gonna get broken in your stomach anyway. Well, it's not my theory. It's gotta be visually appealing. So anyway, by scoring the kielbasa, you can make all kinds of designs, you'll see. You can make little X's or little stars or circles. It's kind of fun. Anyway, simple recipe, damn good, and you'll see shortly as the actual videos of me cooking it come forward. I'm gonna try onions and peppers in kielbasa in the air fryer. So this is obviously not cooked yet, but we'll give it a shot, and I'll show you the end product and see if it comes out. So a few fans of mine have asked me where I learned to cook. Very few, by the way. And it's obvious that I didn't attend some kind of culinary arts academy. No, but I did learn, I think, from some pretty good chefs or cooks in the city of San Francisco, where I lived for a while. You see, I went through a transition in my life like a lot of people, and I had to live in an apartment in the city. It was a very small apartment. It was kind of like a dorm room, so I called it the shanty. And it was a temporary thing, and it worked okay for a while. The good news is that it was right down the hill. I could walk to kind of the Italian section, and there were all kinds of restaurants, and I was in a place in my career where I was traveling a lot. So I tried cooking in the shanty, but inevitably I'd end up with all this food. It would just rot. I'd come back and have mold on it. It just didn't work. It was a disaster. So I ended up, when I was in town, going down the street to the Italian section and to the Italian restaurants. Now again, I was financially constrained, so I didn't go out to dinner every night. What I would usually do is go down, and while I had a glass of wine, I'd sit at the bar or the counter area overlooking the kitchen, and I'd watch the guys, or gals, did we say gals? Anyway, the women cook. And that's where I kind of figured out that it really comes down to a handful of things. And to me, as you know, based on garage grubbing and our goal of simplicity in all things, you realize that I boiled it down to the fundamental elements that I think you need to cook anything. And to me, it's heat and moisture and prep. And I can't tell you how many meals I watch these cooks make where that's all they were doing, because they weren't cooking at night, they were prepping all day long, and at night what they were really doing was assembling. Now they were assembling in a certain way so that the food came out great, and it did, but when you really boiled it down, it was heat and moisture and prep. So that's kind of what we do in the garage on this program, and that's the short answer. To extend it a little bit, my favorite dish at this one restaurant, which unfortunately is no longer there, It was called Chicken Under a Brick, and it really was. They'd take a quarter chicken, you know, the leg and the thigh. I'm sure they marinated it. I'm sure they rubbed it, you know, and patted it with olive oil and some seasonings. And they had a big hot brick. It always sat on the grill, and it was always about 800 degrees, I'm sure. And they would take that chicken, they'd slap it on the grill, and they'd put the brick on top. Guy had a rag, and he'd grab it and drop it. And so, in I mean a very short period of time, probably 5 to 7 minutes, he lifted the brick, he flipped it, he threw the brick back down. And I had that a few times, and I'm telling you, it was so beautiful. It was charred, it was moist, it was tender. I mean, that was, to me, the epitome of that magic combination of heat and moisture. And anyway, back to the machines and back to making some good, fun food in the garage. I guess 11 minutes, 12 minutes, yeah. I just threw them in there, olive oil, salt and pepper, and peppers and onions, that's it. I'm gonna go do some eating. Pretty sweet. The old Cosori. The old Cosori, it comes through. He just does his little job. Still is doing it. We'll see how long it works. Anyway, they do look nice. Oh, your wife is calling. I wonder what I've gotten myself into this time. I'll be back.